The Digital Root board game offers a lot of fun challenges. One that's particularly difficult is winning total domination with 3 different factions. The first 2 aren't too bad, but this last one is a little tricky. Thanks to Danielle for asking how we beat this on Legendary Tactics. We're going to walk you through all 3 total domination challenges. Feel free if you want to skip ahead to one of the other ones, that's cool, or if you want to check them all out, that's great. We'll start with the Marquise, we'll do the Eyrie, and also the hardest one of all, and probably the reason you're here, the Woodland Alliance. So as ever, I like to build my keep in the top right corner. You can see my domination card is the yellow bunny card. So it makes perfect sense in the top right corner where you have immediate access to 2 bunny clearings, and just 2 spaces away from your keep is the 3rd bunny clearing. So already I'm just planning ahead to getting my infrastructure built there. Now, I recently finished a strategy guide for the Marquise de Cat, and in it I suggested that the Marquise is very well suited to win by domination. In fact, this might actually be the best way to win with the Marquise. So this challenge isn't particularly difficult, but with so many units on the board and the ability to reinforce key locations fast, they're really ideal. So we'll move to the top here, and or in the middle. And I suggest actually you get your recruiters down fairly quickly. If you want to get the workshops going for a couple of points, really the idea is to rush to 10 points so that you can play your domination card. And yeah, if you haven't seen that strategy guide yet, I'll put the card in the top right corner of your screen and it'll take you straight there. Okay, sometimes you need to, in this early game, build your sawmills too. I actually built that one in a mouse clearing because it's not as important to get your soldiers there to reinforce it. So if it gets killed off, whatever, I'm going to get to 10 points without too much difficulty. So the easiest one, I would say, the easiest dominance is to win with the bunny clearings. You can do it really with any of them, frankly. They're not that hard with the wild cards either. So that's my suggestion that way. But so I think crafting is a viable choice to get to the 10 points, but building is really your bread and butter, is the Marquise. So by the time you have all your units in place and you've secured those clearings, you should be getting pretty close to 10 points. Now, if one of your opponents is the Woodland Alliance, then this challenge is going to be much more challenging because you'll need to be careful not to let them steal your dominance card. So I'm heading down to that bottom corner now because that's the one I need to really get into. Now, putting the recruiter there, not really a great idea. Makes a lot more sense to get that recruiter down below. Okay, yeah, you know what? That was probably not my greatest moment there, putting a workshop down there, because I don't actually have any bunny cards in hand, so that was probably a mistake. And you're using Hawks for Hire. I mean, the only real reason you use wild cards is for extra turns, get a little extra lumber, and get your fortifications down. So you might as well do that back home where it's not going to be threatened by your opponents. So I probably should have switched those 2 around and done the workshop in the mouse clearing and the recruiter in the bunny clearing. That was a misplay, I think. I do have a recruiter right next door there, but then it costs you an action to move down there. So hey, I guess I could have done this much more efficiently. But your main goal is just to get established in those bunny clearings, get your units there. You can see I'm already up to 6 points. And I found in these challenges that the AI will actually surprisingly try to stop you. The Eyrie can be a real pain in the butt. So he's sending some units up there now, and they like to knock you back. Yeah, here he goes. So taking me out. Ooh, you got a good roll too, so that doesn't help matters at all. But because this challenge isn't particularly difficult, that's not a huge setback for me. So that won't be hard to reclaim. So I'll leave you with the game now. You can watch how I completed this, but I've essentially given you all the strategy you need now, so enjoy. And if you want to skip ahead to watch the Aerie Total Domination, I'll put the chapter below. All right, so that is the victory with the Marquise. The Aerie got a little closer than I would have liked with 21 points, but it's all right. So let's move to the playing as the Aerie now. If you enjoy this kind of strategy breakdown for these challenges, please consider giving the video a like to help our channel grow. And once again, I've got a strategy guide for this faction. There's a card in the top right that will take you to that guide, and that will help you get the basics down. And a lot of those basics do apply in this, although it's much more streamlined here. So I like to start with the charismatic leader here because you get more warriors out as quickly as possible. And for this challenge, you're essentially going to make your way. So I've been fortunate, actually. I've got 2 dominance cards to choose from in hand. So I started with the mouse card, and I've got the fox clearing, and quick assessment tells me the fox clearing is the better option here. Starting with a wild card in hand also really helps a lot with the Aerie, because you can get that wild card down to get flexibility with a build or that sort of thing. So I really hate to use the wild ambush card here, which you can see is the one I've got for my decree, because that card is so versatile. But you know what? It just makes sense. If I don't have any mobility, that will let me move anywhere, which is really handy. It's much easier to plan ahead and shuffle your units around when you have a third wild bird card down for options. So I'm going to move the bulk of my forces downward. You can see the fox clearing that I'm heading towards there. I have to fight somebody, so I might as well fight as I go to clear the path, and that prevents the Marquise from getting too strong in those locations when I have both the tactical advantage of attacking and also unit advantage. So that's got me set up, and the other fox clearing is straight down to the bottom there. So now, I think the fox clearing was the right choice. You could do the mouse clearing too, but because I had my starting roost back in a fox clearing, it just made sense to go that way. So the trick with the Aerie is to get to 10 points, and securing 3 clearings isn't particularly hard. We can get roosts down fairly quickly. We can reinforce each turn. You can do a few small crafts, like I think one of the ones I craft is a visit to friends. It's just a single point, but as you can see, I'm in desperate need of points to get to 10. With this faction, once you get to 10, it's pretty easy to hold it down. But the WA is also very pesky if you're playing as the Aerie, because if you move into their sympathetic clearing and it matches your domination card, then you're going to lose that card. So you need to pay close attention. But once again, I'm very fortunate that I am playing against a Vagabond. The Thief is a little annoying because he'll come in and steal some of my cards, but you can see I'm going straight to that clearing, and sometimes I leave a couple of guys behind because then I'll have more flexibility in terms of accomplishing the decrees that I've set out, and 3 is more than enough to beat a single unit. I count on him doing 1 damage on me, so I'll have 2 left, and that will let me build my roost. And then I'll have my second fox clearing secured. So you can see I'm well on the way to victory here. So in the end, this game is fairly close when I get down there. I'm a little bit weak by the time I get to the third one, but the Vagabond, you'll see him try to take me out, but he just doesn't have enough power early in the game. He's really a late game faction. So I'll leave you with this game, and you can see how I finish that. And if you would like to join me, I will continue to add some commentary for the Woodland Alliance. All right, so that's the victory. So the Aerie was actually a much quicker victory even than the other, and only 16 points for the Marquise. So let's move now to the real reason I'm posting this video. And before we get into the Woodland Alliance, we'd really be honored if you would join our channel by clicking the subscribe button, and you'll get lots of more Root content. So winning with domination using the Woodland Alliance is indeed a huge challenge, and I think Danielle is looking for a way to do this, and I think there's probably a lot of other players out there. This did take me a couple tries to accomplish this. This wasn't my first game. With the other two factions, I managed it on my first try, but with this faction I found I actually played without the Wild Dominance card for the first two, and I was really close, but it just seemed every time I was just about to win, they would knock me back. And the problem is with the other Dominance cards is you need to hold 3 clearings. With the wild card, you only need to hold 2. So what I'm deciding to do here is I'll secure one of the 2 corners, and I'm just basing that on where is easiest to get to. And what I think I'll do is start in the bottom right, because the Marquise will be a little while to get there. The Aerie is a couple spaces away, but I think that square might be the one to really establish myself. You can see the Marquise is starting to build across the bottom already, so that can be a bit problematic for me. But that's fine. So I think the key with this, winning with domination, is not something I would recommend with the Woodland Alliance, and it's a real challenge because you have so few warriors on the board, and it can be really hard to hold all of the clearings you need to maintain your dominance in each of them and to hold on until your next turn. So that Wild Dominance card is actually a really great win for me. That just means I have to hold 2 opposite corners of the map. And now the challenge I'll have is that it's fairly difficult to traverse the board, since moving from a clearing, you need to have dominance in the clearing you're in order to move. So here I am. It's actually been, I'm a little rusty with the Woodland Alliance, and that's one thing I love about this game is you really need to be up on it. So I'm just quickly reviewing here what my options are and what I need and everything I need in order to pull this off. But in order to move, and this is also where I'm thinking that you need to really focus the cards that you save up in order to spread sympathy. Sometimes if you can spread sympathy, you automatically do it. And I think in this challenge, you might actually want to hold on to some of those cards, not spread sympathy. And it's very counterintuitive because you may need to use those cards in order to burst and get a revolt where you need it. So it's hard to get across the board, but if you can build up a big force, my goal is to build that force up in the bottom right corner. Then I'll make a run for it. I'll get that first building down. All right, here we go. Always nice to see that revolt. Unfortunately, it's only taking out a single unit. But now I can start to train warriors, and that just gives me more moves. And basically, I want to get 4 moves so that I can, in a single turn, move a whole army to that top left corner and start to spread my sympathy over there. And also fortify it and defend it, because the problem is when you get your cute little mice down, if you don't have any units there to defend them, then they'll probably get taken out fairly quickly. So this challenge runs contrary to the strategy tips in my Woodland Alliance strategy guide. I'll also link to that one with a card in the top right. And basically, I would normally in that guide, I would suggest that you get your sympathy down in the center of the map where there's bound to be lots of action. But in this challenge, I would actually focus on putting your sympathy around the periphery and in the corners. Sure, you'll win less cards with players not moving into your squares, but really, I mean, you're not going to try to score a ton of points. You only need 10 points in order to get that domination victory. So it's more about positioning in this and getting your units where you need them. So I got very lucky with some of the card draw. You can see I've got lots of wild cards there. And the wild bird cards are great because that's what's going to help me revolt where I need to. And I wouldn't waste those cards spreading lots and lots of sympathy around. Instead, save them for the revolts. Now, I would actually say that in this game, I could have beaten it a little more quickly. I did run into some really, really bad luck with the Aerie because the AI, they're a little bit unpredictable about where they'll go and who they'll attack. But I think in this, they're programmed that if I'm about to win, then they need to go and stop me. And then they'll just continue to throw massive hordes at the square that you need to win. And so you'll see that happening towards the end of the game. But This does slow me down by a few turns, but I think I also did make a few mistakes. So one was the movement rules. I had forgotten exactly what I needed to move from clearing to clearing, and so that slowed me down a little bit. And then I remembered how to do that. And in the end, I'm not sure if I made the right call. Let me know in the comments if you think I misplayed it. It did get me the win. With a human player, they would never let me get away with it. But with the AI, I kept building units in the top left square, and I would get the revolt, kill them all off, and then he would send a huge force, fight me down, and I'd have to start over again. So in the end, I decided not to build there, hoping that if I didn't have a big army, that the AI wouldn't notice me. And I'm not sure if that reasoning makes any sense or if it's actually anything to do with the programming, but it did work out for me. Twice I tried the proper approach of building an army and failing, so I thought, oh, what the heck, I'll give it a whirl. So anyways, we'll see. Maybe there was a better option to do. But I do think that winning dominance with the Woodland Alliance is probably only really feasible with this wild card. So to hit your 10 points, you will likely need to do it exclusively through spreading sympathy and revolting. So here you can see this is where I was just mucking around and trying to figure out how many units I needed in order to be able to move across the board. So that is all the strategy tips I've got for this one. You're welcome to watch the rest of the video to see how I pulled it off. I was just checking out here. How did what did I need in order to get the 10 points? And so I'll leave you with that. And at the end, I'll rejoin you to sign off. All right, enjoy the video. All right, so we are getting to the end of the match here. And you can see that the area has really been a pain in my behind. I'm doing everything I can to try to make it through to that final turn, but he really doesn't want to see me get there. So the Vagabond, fortunately, is nowhere near me, or at least nowhere near the spaces where he can actually do anything to prevent it. So the Marquise is at 24 points. He will likely finish it off next turn, possibly 2 turns away, but it all comes down to what the area does, and he doesn't do anything, and it's a win. All right, so that's how you beat the Total Domination with Woodland Alliance. Thanks so much for joining us at Legendary Tactics. Come back when you can stay a little longer.